What's up, guys? Just got off work, had a short day. It's been several months since I've got off this early, and I've got about 45 minutes to go fishing. I'm running up here to the local park where they have a winter trout stocking program, and I've got my fly rod with me. I'm gonna see if I can catch a few trout, and I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the things I like to use when I go fish these ponds here. There's a lot of cities in the country that have these winter trout stocking programs. For instance, here in Missouri, there's one in the Jackson Park, there's one up in Perryville, there's several up in the St. Louis area, and I'm sure St. Charles area, they have the Bush Refuge up there. I think some of those ponds are stocked with trout during the winter, and it's a great opportunity because, you know, the other fish kind of slow down. You know, your bass and your bluegill, your crappie still bite, but the trout really turn on in this colder water. They enjoy the, you know, water temps in the mid 40s. That's right up their alley. They're still fairly aggressive. You know, on the really cold days when the water gets in the upper 30s, they'll still bite. They do slow down. They go a lot deeper, but right now, you know, the water temps are still in the 40s, and you still got pretty good opportunity to catch some fish. Now, I haven't been up here in a while, like I said, because I've been working so much. So I don't know exactly what to expect. I don't know if it's staying. We've had a little bit of rain. It's an overcast day. It's 4 o'clock right now. The sun's going to be down at 4:45. So I've got a small window to try to catch some fish. So I'm about to get here. I'm gonna get back on here when I get on the water, and we'll catch up there. All right, I'm down here at the park trying to figure out what I want to fish with. Got a limited amount of time. It's overcast, kind of raining, so I'm gonna go with something a little bit bigger. I've been catching them on this little thing. This is a little nymph that my buddy Ken tied for me. He lives out in Colorado now, but he used to live in the same neighborhood. And it's just like a peacock herl with a little tungsten bead. And it's something he came up with, as far as I know. I don't know the name of it, but it's a little fish catcher. It's been an excellent fly, but this is more for sunny conditions. So since it's overcast, I'm gonna try something a little bit bigger. I think I'm gonna strip a woolly. You got two options right now. One is a jig under an indicator, and the other one is stripping some kind of woolly. So I'm gonna look in here and see what I got. You know, for this pond fishing, all you need is a little box like this. It's just a little knapsack. You can use like a hip pack. This actually has shoulder straps on it, and since I've got this camera, I'm not going to wear it. I'm just going to kind of carry it down and set it down on the bank in the area I'm fishing. But you don't need much. You could actually just have like one little box, and you just need some line cutters and a couple of indicators, and you're good to go. A lot of times, one of my favorite jigs is a black and chartreuse. It's just a 1/64 ounce Marabou jig. This is a good jig, and this would probably work today. Another one I like to go to is just a black woolly with a bead head. It's a small, like size 12 black woolly booger. I also like a white mini jig, and this would probably play today as well. This is just a really small white mini jig, probably 1/80th of an ounce. I tie these up myself. It's just some chenille, and I put a little bit of flashabou. I call this a rainbow bright pattern based on that little flashabou. Something I came up with. It works really well. In a white or pink. And sometimes this little leech pattern, just an olive leech. It's got a little bit of flashabou in there. I tied this one up to about a size 10, it looks like. Or even a traditional beadhead woolly. That thing's kind of beat up, but an olive color woolly. This is a little bit bigger, probably size 8. I'm gonna start out with this little black beadhead woolly booger. It's about a size 12. I think I'll have enough time to maybe try one more pattern before it gets dark. So I'm just tying a new swirl knot, and I've got a video on this, but if you haven't seen it, I'll show you real quick. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. This is 5X tippet. It's pretty small. It's equivalent to about 5-pound test. So you just thread your line through your eye. I'll link that video below, or in the end screens at the end of this video. So there you go, and you just trim your tag off. Let's get down on the water. All right, I'm gonna go with this. It's kind of soupy down here. Making short little strips usually with this woolly booger. We're going to try this a little bit, and if it don't get bit, I'm going to change pretty quick. Probably go with the indicator rig. Just want to pull out a bunch of line, get a good cast. Just make a long cast out there, just let it sink a little bit. Just start stripping it real slow. You just got to watch your line. I've got a little curvature in my line. I look for that to straighten out. It's usually the only key you get that you're getting a bite. It's usually a real subtle bite. It just kind of gets heavy. So you're just stripping in, watching that line. You know, indicator rig's a lot easier. It's pretty obvious. You're just watching that indicator. I think that's a bite right there. See my line kind of start to straighten up. They're kind of finicky right now. They've been pressured quite a bit. And they've been in here for over a month. So the best way to carry your line when you're walking down the bank is to get it together. Make a big loop right here. You got two sections of line. You can just lift your rod up high and walk down the bank. We're going to try down here before we change baits or flies. Okay, I'm going with this little leech now. It's kind of a little mohair leech. It's got a little bit of a long tail, but hopefully they'll grab it and try that a little bit. You got to get that thing wet though, because it wants to float. This is unweighted, so this will stay up in the upper part of the water column. There he is. Feels like a good one. Just saw my line straighten up on that one. So you usually want to reel your line in so you get that line out of the way. Nice fish. They're really strong. They really fight hard. There we go. right in for me. There we go, folks. Nice little urban trout. We'll let him go. Just a dark olive ginger color. Little leech. Let's try that again. Got him. They're wanting it a little bit faster. Yep, they're wanting it higher in the water column. Probably just stick with this now. They just want to reel on all your line. You get your line on the reel. It's a nice fish. Dark fish, really dark fish. It's a beautiful fish. Really dark. I just like to lip them. You got a little bit of teeth, so you got to be careful. Just lay my rod down. Come down here and lip that guy. There he is. It's a nice fish. Pretty long fish. I like these gill plates. They got that kind of red. Let's let him go. There's a bite right there. Got him. I don't know how they can see in the dark like this, but they can. Oh yeah, there he is. Nice fish. Nice pretty silver fish. Nice rainbow. Rainbow. They're all rainbows. So that fish hit it, dropped it, came back and grabbed it. So that fish hit it, dropped it, and then he came back and grabbed it. This is real soupy right here. Be careful. Real soupy right here. Another nice one. Not bad for an evening. Still gonna try to catch one more. Let him go. What's up, guys? Just got back from the park and managed to catch a few fish. Didn't have a lot of time, but had a lot of fun. And I know this is mainly a bass channel, but I wanted to encourage you guys, if you have the opportunity to go fish a pond that they stock trout in the winter, go do it. It's a lot of fun. You know, the bass get kind of sluggish in the winter, but these trout will continue to bite throughout the winter. It's a way to get your fix in. And you don't need a fly rod. You can do this on a spinning rod, which is what I want to talk about a little bit here. A 6-foot ultralight rod is perfect to do this. You want to rig that up, spool it up with about 4-pound test line, 2 to 4. I would stay with 4. Some of the lines that I've had good luck with are the Berkeley Vanish, Maxima, and this triple fish. I don't know if you've seen this before. This is a really good small diameter line. The 4-pound line has a diameter of 2 pound. It's very abrasion resistant, and I've had good luck with it. It's pretty inexpensive too. I think this is right at $9 for 440 yards. So I'm sure you can find this online somewhere, but There used to be a local bait shop here, and I bought some of that a while back. I need to buy some more, but this is a good line. So the way I like to catch these trout with a spinning rod is a couple different ways, actually. You can throw this little small jerk bait at them. This is just a small husky jerk. There's a couple other companies that make jerk baits even smaller than this. When they first stock these trout in there, they're pretty dumb. They're easy to catch. So something like this is going to catch them that first few weeks. Maybe they stock in November, so November through the beginning of December, you can probably catch a lot of fish on this. Another bait that I would throw is a rooster tail or a panther martin. That's just a small inline spinner. I would stick with a 1/16 ounce probably, maybe an 1/8 ounce. Whatever colors, it usually doesn't matter when they first get put in there. Like I said, they're pretty aggressive. I like to cast the Marabou Jigs. You know, just these small Marabou Jigs. You're probably going to need probably a 1/16. I can cast a 32nd ounce Marabou Jig with my ultralight setup, but 1/16 is probably a good size to shoot for. Browns, blacks, and whites are good go-to colors for the Marabou Jigs. And the other thing that I want to talk about is throwing these jigs on a float, or a strike indicator is what we call it in fly fishing, but it's a float. And these baits are pretty light, but if you get this float that's got a little bit of a lead strip around there, you can cast it out really far. They make this cylindrical, like a cigar shaped one, and they make just the round one. And both of these will work. This is going to allow you to cast out these lighter, Marabou jigs, like the fly fisherman can. And you want to cast that out, let it sit, let it sink for a second, just make a couple twitches, and just let it sit, and make a couple twitches, and let it sit. If you've got some breeze that day, if you've got some wind, just throw it upwind, and let it kind of just drift across an area, and you can catch a lot of fish. Another thing that you can fish underneath an indicator is it's called a Trout Magnet. It's basically like a little plastic grub that comes on a small jig head. White is a really good color. You can catch a lot of fish with that. So that's what I would do with the spinning outfit. Now on the fly fishing, if you're new to fly fishing, you want to get a rod, I would go with a 5-weight 9-foot rod. That's a good all-around rod. You can do just about anything. You can throw dry flies on it. You can throw indicator rigs. You can strip woolies. You can nymph rig. It's a pretty good all-around rod. And I wouldn't get something too expensive. The White River, Bass Pro Shop's White River is a good entry-level fly rod to get into. And just get a matching reel. So 5-weight rod, 5-weight reel. Another thing you'll want to do is you don't want to buy a real expensive fly line. Some of that high-end fly line is like 80 bucks. And when you're fishing around these ponds, you're going to be stripping it. It's going to be in the dirt, in the grass. You're going to step on the line. So you don't want a real expensive line. You can buy some decent line for 20 to 30 bucks. And that's what I would recommend to start out with. If you get into it and you really start liking it, it's just like bass fishing. You can expand and pick up a nicer rod and some nicer line and nicer reel and stuff. And you can spend as much as you want on that. It goes, there's almost no ceiling. It's kind of like bass fishing. But I would start out with something a little bit cheaper, just to find out if that's something you want to pursue. So in the trout park or these trout lakes, this winter urban trout fishing scenario, there's a few baits that I've had a lot of success with over the last few years. A lot of times I will start out with an indicator rig, and the rigs that you throw with, for fly fishing don't have the weight on them. They're just it's called like a football. It's called a football indicator. This is a medium-sized lightning strike football indicator. I think Bass Pro Shops carries these. They've got a slit in them where you slide your line in there, and then this is just a rubber piece, and you just rotate your line to the back side of the slit, and that holds it on your line. I'm throwing 5X tippet. I like this Floral Flex made by Rio. Seaguar makes a really good tippet as well. There's several of them out there. With this indicator rig, I'm floating a small jig most of the time below this thing. I like an 80th ounce or 64th ounce. My favorite color is this black and yellow. And this is too long. You'll want to pinch some of this tail off of there because they'll short strike this if you don't. And here's an old one that that I've kind of pinched down. So that's about what you're wanting. So here's your difference. Big difference. Gives it a smaller profile, and they can get it in their mouth a lot easier. So the black and yellow is a good one on overcast days. Straight black is good all around. And then I also like an olive with a little bit of white in there. And then you can go to straight brown. Those are the colors I'm throwing. Sometimes I'll mix a white, just a straight white in there too, but that's the main colors that I've caught fish on. Now there's another fly called a Mini Jig. I tie these up myself. I call this one a Rainbow Bright because it's got the Flashabou. This is just chenille on a jig head, and this is an 80th ounce. This is actually a 64th ounce, but anywhere between an 80th and a 64th ounce. And you're going to throw this on an indicator rig as well. I like the white, and I like a pink color. That's the only two colors that I throw. Now the other way to catch these fish is by stripping something. And when you're stripping something, it's usually going to be a leech or a woolly booger. My favorite color woolly boogers are this olive with a little bit lighter colored tail, kind of a root beer colored tail. I like a straight black, which I don't have one of those out, but here's one actually. So black woolly with a little bit of Flashabou in the tail. And then I throw these leeches a lot. This is what I caught those fish on today in the video. This is just a mohair leech. This is a mohair material, and it's on a, this is probably about a size 10. I'm staying with like size 10 to size 14 woolies for these trout. It seems to work the best for me. And this is another leech pattern. It's more of an olive color. I don't know if you can see that or not. But that's it, guys. I keep it really, really simple. So if you're a spin cast guy, try some of the baits that I just mentioned. If you're a fly fishing guy, oh, I got one more for you too. This right here is a bad little mamma jamba. It's really small. This is got peacock herl in it, and it's got a little bit of hackle. It's a bead head. It's got a little tungsten bead on it. It's about a size 16. It's just a little midge pattern. This is something that my buddy Ken tied up, and he's since moved to Colorado, but he left me a bunch of these, and they work really, really good. These are working better later on in the year when the water gets cold and the trout kind of sit on the bottom, and that'll happen when the water's still in the 40s. They're going to be suspended mid-depth to the surface, but as the water gets down in the low 40s and the 30s, they seem to get down really deep and they hug the bottom, and you can strip this thing really, really slow along the bottom and pick up some fish. So that's it, guys. I hope this helps you. I know this is a trout fishing video, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe go out and try this stuff. I think you'll like it. You'll have a good time. It's a lot of fun. You know, anytime your line's tight, it's all good, and it can be really slow in the wintertime for us bass guys. So as always, subscribe, like the channel, share it, hit the little bell notification, and Monday nights, Backyard Bassin live stream at 7 p.m. and I'm sharing content on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Thanks for your time. Talk to you later.